So let's talk about artificial intelligence in the beginning. I should have named this Genesis. Okay, so let's talk about Aristotle. Aristotle is considered sort of the founder, if you will, of artificial intelligence. And it's because he founded or discovered what is known as syllogistic logic or deductive reasoning. It's the if, then, or why does something happen. So if I drive my car over a cliff and it's 1,000 feet down and I don't have a parachute, I'm going to likely die. Let's see, there are a bunch of if-thens. I could go into some other areas when I would do that. But he was taught by Plato. He's a Greek philosopher, and as you can see, we went all the way back to the BC, back to antiquity. Moving forward, well beyond BC, now in AD, in the early part of the 20th century, we get to Alan Turing. And who has seen the movie Imitation Game? Okay, and so the actor Cumberbatch was playing Alan Turing, and their job during that movie was to use sort of one of the first computers to break the Enigma code that the Germans were using during World War II. And so it's a fascinating story. It doesn't really get into AI that much, but it gets a little bit into how they use computers to really streamline what would have taken 1 million years to process a lot of data. And so that starts to get into artificial intelligence to some degree. And so Alan Turing said, can a machine provide that it is conscious by not enabling humans to know that it is not? So can a computer trick you into thinking that it's actually human, or you really can't tell whether it's human or a machine? He also suggested that we shouldn't build computers or machines to think like an adult. We should really build it to think like a child, so we can then teach it to learn. And so that's really the backbone of artificial intelligence, is you're teaching it to learn, and it's machine learning. Fast forward a few more years to the Dartmouth conference, and John McCarthy, a computer scientist, and his peers got together at Dartmouth to study this notion of what can machines do? Can machines think? Can we create machines in a way to teach it to think? And so he is the one, and that group are the ones that actually coined the term artificial intelligence, and they looked at deductive versus inductive systems. Okay? So let's look at what those two things mean. Inductive versus deductive. Deductive is a conclusion can be proven valid if the premise is understood to be true. Inductive conclusion may be incorrect even if the argument is strong and the premise is understood to be true. And let's look at a particular example. Who in here likes college football? Okay. Are there any Notre Dame fans in here? No. Are there any Florida State fans in here?
No.
Florida? Michigan State? Alabama? Boy, I'm hitting zero here. So I happen to be a Notre Dame fan. Okay, so let's say that we were using deductive reasoning to determine or to come to an outcome, or to come to a resolution or to determine an outcome. And so an example might be, I'm a Notre Dame fan. I never miss a game. I live in South Bend. I have season tickets. It's football season. And there's a game this Saturday. So what conclusion can someone come to? To the game, exactly. And so all those premises are true and the conclusion is true. Okay, so if I never miss a game, I have season tickets, I live in South Bend, and there's a game this Saturday, I'm going to the game. So that is deductive reasoning. Inductive might be closer to, I'm still a Notre Dame fan, and by the way, that's not going to change. There's a game this Saturday. I try to go to the game as often as I can. I don't have anything scheduled for this Saturday. What conclusion might someone come to? Someone might come to a conclusion that I'm going to the game. Well, not necessarily, because I didn't say I live in South Bend. I didn't say I have tickets or season tickets. I may live in Florida. So I may catch the game on television since I'm a fan. Again, it's not going to change. But I may not necessarily go to the game. But someone may think I'm going to the game. So that's a conclusion that may be incorrect, and it was incorrect if someone said I was going to the game. Even if the argument is strong and the premise is understood to be true, all those things about I love football, I love Notre Dame, maybe I've been to a couple of games, but I don't live in Indiana and I don't have tickets, okay?